Hello and happy Friday. I'm back on the show, feeling good. I missed you guys so much. Anyway,
Missed
well,
you,
welcome back to
Zach.
the Hash. I'm Zach
Did we
Seward. We
miss
got Will
Zach?
Foxley. Well, it's okay.
Missed
Maybe
all you
not.
guys. I was gone.
I don't even know.
And then
We were all
Zach
gone.
and Jen were gone.
I was gone.
Naomi's
I was
the
gone.
stalwart of the team. Wait,
I know,
Thank you,
it's
Naomi,
true.
for holding
I
down
was
the fort.
here. You know,
Except there was
Exactly.
one show where all three of you were not here. So
Pretty
Yeah.
weird,
Okay,
guys.
Jen, make it about yourself.
Anyway, let's just keep doing this all day. I'm loving it. All right. Well,
Absolutely.
anyway, we'll
Absolutely.
get you caught up on crypto news, and leading us off today is the great Naomi Brockwell. Naomi, take it away, please.
Okie dokie. So, giant news today. Taylor Swift re-recorded her Red album and dropped it.
Rugs.
Has nothing to do with crypto. I don't even know how
Yeah,
to tie that in,
enough.
except to say,
This is the
Taylor,
wrong
when are we
show,
getting
Naomi.
the Red NFT? You know, we need it. So if you need to know how to get into crypto, contact the
AMC fans in
CoinDesk team.
disbelief.
We will get you set up, Taylor. But anyway, all too well, 10-minute version, amazing. All right, let's move on. Other giant news. AMC has started to accept cryptocurrency for online payments. They are accepting Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin so far. And they say that Dogecoin is next. That's pretty awesome news, guys. I'm pretty happy about all of that. When they first started saying, well, we might accept Bitcoin, I was like, yeah, but no one's going to use it. But I mean, Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash, people do use in everyday transactions because it's super cheap. So it's actually pretty interesting to see this move. And I just love the idea. Even if it wasn't those other currencies, even if it's just Bitcoin or whatever, I actually really like that we are starting to popularize this as using it in everyday life. I think that that's an awesome path to be walking down. But I'm going to throw this to the group. Will, I'm going to start off with you. What do you reckon?
Two disappointments, actually, to top it off. First, Dogecoin isn't listed yet. And second, he tweeted this. He didn't post it on Reddit. And it really felt like a Reddit announcement to, stay in line with the whole momentum of the issue.
Great points, Will.
So I know. I just got to be critical. That's what media does, is we critique everybody. So you can't get it right every time. Just like looking at the whole story, I guess, kind of backtracking a bit. Pretty typical to see these coins listed. I'm wondering how Bitcoin Cash still stays relevant, but we won't get into that here today. Bitcoin,
because people
Litecoin,
use it for
all those
purchases,
payments.
Well, because
Here we
it's
go.
cheap.
Yeah, toss it to Zach. I
It's
think it's to Zach before
fast.
anything goes nuclear. Zach, what do you think about this story?
I wanted to go nuclear. I'm tossing it back to Naomi. Naomi, go make it nuclear. Let's go.
Well,
Nuke
the one
this
thing I
man.
will say is, to be honest, I'm probably two things. I always love to support the businesses that accept crypto. So I do go out of my way to give them support and use my crypto at these places because we want to encourage that full cycle in the ecosystem. We don't want just like a one-way, people are buying crypto via miners and that's all that happens with it. We want to build out this ecosystem, the infrastructure around it. That includes getting merchants on board. So I want to support AMC in this pledge. But to be honest, I already buy all my movie tickets using crypto. I use the Dash Direct app because I save 5.6% on every movie ticket. And that's pretty great. So I don't know whether I'm going to switch over. Like, they're not offering discounts for this. So it's hard for me because going via Dash Direct, yeah, I'm supporting Dash Direct. And that's great because they're a third party that enables you to pay at lots of different places. But I also want to show support to AMC. I'm going to have to think about this one, guys. I'm going to have to figure out which direction I'm going to go. Maybe I'll trade off. Like 1 week I'll do this, 1 week I'll do the other. We'll see. But Jen, I'll throw it to you.
Yeah, I share your optimism. I think it's great. I think for people who are just getting into crypto to now start seeing merchants that they frequent accepting crypto, it allows them to take that next step, whether they want to hold on to it or spend it. But I do want to mention that the CEO ran a Twitter poll asking if they should accept Shiba Inu coin after they implement Dogecoin. And 82% of people voted yes. And it actually made the shareholders meeting where they said that they are looking into Shiba Inu after Doge. And I thought that was amazing. I thought that was amazing.
Shiba was nowhere around during all this.
Are we going to be selling our AMC stock? Hearing that they're going to be holding Doge. Are they holding Doge and Shiba? Because if so, I don't know. I don't want to be like a negative Nancy. I'll just say that you might want to look into some of these coins. Anyway, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, It's interesting to see the payments thing continue to rear its head. And I think, eventually we'll get there where crypto payments are more widespread and less of a niche thing. But for now, man, we're still seeing crypto as an asset. These numbers are going up, and people don't want to be caught spending something that's going to go up significantly in this crazy super cycle that we find ourselves in.
Spend and replace.
So I don't know. What's up?
Spend and replace.
Spend and replace. Okay, spend and replace.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, but I think
The way to do it.
I don't know. I'm just curious to see if any of these experiments are going to stick. And it's fun that they're sort of, again, playing to their base and getting some excitement around this. AMC, famously part of the GameStop movement, as sort of Reddit alluded to, as Will alluded to with Reddit. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what comes of this. And yeah, I don't know. But Will, I saw your hand up, so I'm tossing it to you.
Another point I thought of while you were speaking there is that Litecoin again sneaks in somehow into this whole conversation, which is just incredible how they always do it. No marketing, whatever, except for that weird Walmart PR stunt, which I don't think Litecoin was a part of. I think someone was just pumping their bags. But Litecoin sneaks in yet again. And also there's no stable coins invested in this story at all, which this has been kind of going on for a while, right? Like AMC's been looking at adopting some sort of crypto payment. Like that's been in the news and they've been promising it. So why didn't a stablecoin provider like Circle get involved and be like, hey, why not use a stablecoin for this? And that makes me think that
stablecoins,
they're worried about it.
Sorry, go ahead.
Are they like worried about like adoption of stablecoins because there's been like a lot of regulatory scrutiny over it and they're just like choosing not to?
Because when you have cryptocurrencies, there is no central party, there is no counterparty that is responsible for backing these things. And in the stablecoins that are being investigated by the SEC, there are. And so, yeah, I think that they're probably worried about things that are not decentralized and can be potentially shut down by government or the SEC or whatnot. Circle is under scrutiny right now, so it doesn't surprise me at all that they're keeping arm's length from that. But you're right, they didn't look into like algorithmic stable coins, things like DAI, but maybe that's just way too out there for them. Like, let's baby steps. Let's just get some, currencies that are using payments first, so we can add some of the crazy stuff next. But Zach, let's tell us what's going on elsewhere.
I missed you guys. This is too much fun. I missed you guys. AMC as inflation hawks. That's the real story here. All right, let's get back to it. We're going to change gears here. We're going to go to the world of blockchain gaming. This one stood out to me. I'm not super familiar with Forte, but somehow they've raised $725 million on the strength of some of the excitement around the concept of blockchain gaming and play to earn and all that jazz. So this one stands out to me. It's pretty crazy. These guys have raised $900 million in the last year, apparently, and some big firms, both in the venture world outside of crypto and within crypto, are supporting this project as blockchain gaming looks to go mainstream. I don't know who I'm going to throw this to. I'm going to throw this to Jen. I mean, when you see a number like this from a project like this, what's your initial thought? What's driving this excitement?
Well, I've never heard of this company either, but I think that if we just look at the news in the last few months, I think everyone's making their big bets on crypto and gaming and the metaverse. And so this just speaks to that. And when I think about this, I know, Zach, you weren't here yesterday, but we spoke about gamers' disdain for crypto and NFTs, the Discord community saying they absolutely do not want crypto. They do not want NFTs. And so I started thinking about the actual gaming community. If they don't want crypto and NFTs, have we created another barrier here for people? Like now, people who are not native to gaming, not native to crypto, there are these big like metaverses being built. How do we get those people there, and how do we overcome the barriers? A lot of these games that are being launched, like Axie Infinity, you need money to buy the NFTs to play. And so now I think we've created a whole bunch of new barriers when it comes to gaming in the metaverse, and there's a lot of money going in to solve those problems. But I wonder what it's going to take for the mainstream non-native gamers to get there. I know I just said a big mouthful, but Will, I'm going to kick it up to you.
Looking for problems under every rock. I'm looking at this headline and seeing a lot of money. They're doing great. That's mainstream adoption right there, $725 million. And they closed a previous round in May for like $125 million. So they've made almost $1 billion on the year just in funding, which is pretty fantastic just from a startup standpoint. What I'm comparing this to is the rounds that FTX has done this year. FTX, of course, is like the exchange to talk about. Obviously, Coinbase and Binance are there, but FTX has really had a gangbusters year. Their name is on Miami Heat's arena. They're in every MLB commercial, and they raised similar amounts this year. And where, like, why is Forte in this conversation with FTX if you're just going to look at funding round numbers? Like, FTX is everywhere. They have a large number of customers, especially with that Blockfolio acquisition last year. Forte, like Zach said, like, Zach should know this. He's an editor for CoinDesk. Like, he's in this beat. And where's Forte? I've never heard of him. He hasn't heard of him. So it's like, what are these guys? What are they doing? Nothing on Zach's name at all. More on Forte. Like, I hope they spend some marketing money from this funding round. Just doesn't quite make sense to me that we're seeing this kind of numbers thrown at a project that nobody really knows about. Naomi, I'll throw it down to you though.
It's interesting the point that Jen brought up about the whole Discord beef that we spoke about yesterday, where Discord really doesn't like crypto, which is weird because so many crypto communities are based on Discord. And we had the CEO of Discord saying that they might potentially integrate Ethereum via a screenshot, and then rolled that back and said, no, actually, we're not going to. And then they got so much pushback from the Discord community. Because like we were talking about that in terms of how the gaming community is completely at odds with the blockchain community. And then we see numbers like this, where it's like, let's bring them together. And I wonder what that reconciliation is going to look like. Clearly, it's not everyone in the gaming community who's anti-blockchain. And clearly, it makes a lot of sense for blockchain technology to be integrated in games in the forms of like non-fungible tokens, digital assets, and all those kinds of things, because they've existed in games for forever. But the problem is that they never had real world value outside of those games. And this blockchain technology, the integration of it can add that real world value and make these exchangeable on, open marketplaces. And it just kind of adds a whole new dimension to gaming, which kind of makes it exciting. So it's always been fascinating to hear about this beef between the gaming community and crypto community. But hopefully with the numbers pouring in, they can make some awesome products, and gamers are going to go where gaming is best. So if they can create some, awesome products there, then perhaps they'll just win over the consumers and the users. But Zach, I'll throw back to you.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned FTX, Will, and FTX itself is sponsoring a big $100 million blockchain gaming fund push. So everyone here seems to be thinking that, hey, maybe there's some opportunity in this space. And I think also, venture capital firms, be it A16Z or some of these other, more traditional venture capital firms, are also kind of sipping that Kool-Aid and thinking maybe there's something there. So one to watch. We'll see what happens with Forte. All right, we're going to take a break. We are going to talk about the great Bitcoin mining hash rate migration after the break. And Will is going to lead that conversation. It's going to be lovely. All right, stick with us. I'm Zach. That's Will, Jen, Naomi. We'll be back in a quick second. Stick with us. It's Friday. It's The Hash.
And during the break, we're going to listen to Taylor Swift's album.
When we say we want to reimagine money, it turns out we're going to the heart of the matter. Imagination has always been a key part of what money is. Imagination in the form of cultural creativity is also something that the cryptocurrency community has in spades. And to the outsider, that can be a reason to dismiss it as frivolous, as something built on nothing. To dismiss it for these reasons, though, is to ignore that all money is imagined.
And welcome back to The Hash, where we talk about everything crypto and culture. So we're going to talk about the Nine, which is a Bitcoin miner out of China. And they've been kind of hustled all around the world after the Chinese Bitcoin mining ban that happened earlier this summer. Now they've signed a deal with Compute North, which is a hosting provider, mostly based in North America, to provide up to 14,000 miners for hosting in their buildings across the US and Canada. This follows up on earlier stories for the Nine, where they've been kind of looking around the world for new places to put their miners. They signed a deal back in August for 100 megawatts in Kazakhstan, just to place a lot of their machines there. Well, the story kind of continues that Kazakhstan has some problems with Bitcoin mining as well. And it seems that the Nine is continuing to look for new places to put its machines. Why does this matter? Well, Bitcoin's network strength is based on Bitcoin mining, and there's been a lot of machines moving out of China looking for places to rack. And it's been very difficult for them to do that. A lot of these Chinese mining conglomerates really haven't found space to put their Bitcoin mining operations back in business. And so we've seen network difficulty remain low, which means Bitcoin profits remain high. And that's why you've seen a lot of US and Canada-based Bitcoin miners doing really well on public markets this year because they don't have a lot of competition from the incumbent Chinese class. So kind of like a lot of geopolitical stories kind of tying up into this one, but it's also a crypto story. Zach, I want to throw this one to you. We've talked a lot about Chinese Bitcoin mining bans since June. That's been a huge story, obviously. But this just seems to be continuing.
It does. It does seem to be continuing. And again, I mean, we've said it before, but it's really remarkable how quickly this has happened, where North America has suddenly become a leading force in Bitcoin mining, when historically China had led by a wide margin. So to me, when I see stories like this, I just think about how crazy these markets operate, right? There's like, these are pure markets in which people are sort of moving around to wherever suits their interest best. And I think we see that with Bitcoin mining. And in this case, we see it with the 9. So the geopolitical stuff is certainly interesting. But again, this is a global market in which people are trying to situate their operations wherever they can find the best prices to make sure that their mining margins remain strong. And I would assume that the 9 ended up in the US for that reason. So, yeah, it's pretty stunning, actually, after seeing, China really lead the Bitcoin mining conversation for a number of years, how quickly North America has emerged in the wake of that crackdown. So another little signal in that ongoing story for me on this one. But yeah, I'll toss it down to Naomi.
It's interesting because if you look at the difficulty, if you look at the hash rate rather of Bitcoin, it's almost back to where it was right before the China ban. Like it's only just below there. So like, although there was a giant crash, it just went straight back up and we're almost back to where it was before. It's fascinating how quickly, these companies can actually reposition themselves and how, quickly everything just kind of adjusted. And I guess, that's markets working for you. If there's money to be made, people are going to go out of their way to make sure that they get set up. What's interesting about North America is what's going on in Texas, because they have this free market in energy, which is really interesting to watch. So they have something called ERCOT, which allows you to trade your electricity. So you could buy like bulk electricity, and then if you don't use it, you could sell it back into the grid. And, if that if that power is demanded highly, then you might make more money actually selling it back to the grid than using it for your mining operation. So it's like a very interesting place for miners at the moment, because miners are so granular in how much electricity they use, and they can just like switch off specific machines and choose exactly how much power they want to be using according to how much money they're going to make and how much electricity costs. So I wonder if what's going on in Texas and the fact that so many mining companies have moved there is actually going to inspire other places to start to deregulate the energy industry and figure out better mechanisms for it, because the grid is it's a miracle. It's a wonder of human invention, but it's just a shame that in most places it's really burdened by so much bureaucracy that's unnecessarily there. It is interesting to see these, also different energy selling techniques based on blockchain technology as well. They're popping up and becoming more common. But Will, I'll throw back to you because you know a lot more about this than I do.
Yeah, no, I like the points that you're kind of pulling on. So I'm going to keep touching on that thread there. I think just to zoom out for the audience, Bitcoin mining can be really confusing. But a good way of understanding it is this is just like energy consumption, and Bitcoin mining goes for the cheapest and the freest places to find energy. It's almost like its own independent energy market. And that's a huge storyline for the global economy right now, because there's been a big crash in energy markets around the globe. Germany's been having a lot of problems with getting natural gas. Russia's been turning off the taps to a lot of its partners throughout that region, the old Soviet bloc. The US has been asking OPEC to turn on the taps for more oil. And you can see how like those energy markets play into Bitcoin mining, and Bitcoin mining almost becomes like this little like case study of how energy markets work, because everyone's looking for energy, everyone's looking for cheap energy, while the rest of the globe is struggling to create energy. And there's definitely a conflict there and a story to continue playing out. But Jen, I think we're moving on to an NFT story, which also uses energy. So it's a great segue there, right?
Good
Yeah,
segue,
that was a great
Will.
segue. I do want to say, every time you do a mining story, it's so hard for me to wrap my head around it. And so I Googled the Nine to do a little bit of research before the show. And I found that there's also a Chinese female pop group called the Nine. So there's that. Don't get those two things confused. All right. So, all right. So I don't know. All right. So there is a new band on the block, and funny enough, it has nothing to do with music or actual people. So Universal Music has announced that they have signed Kingship, and this is a collection of anthropomorphic NFTs. So you can see them there on the screen. They are coined a metaverse group, and the partnership is between Universal Music and NFT investor Jimmy McNellis, who owns the 4 tokens. And so now, while they're signed to Universal Music, there's no music in their immediate future, and rather they're thinking about building out the storylines behind each of these characters and building out their worlds. So interesting story here. The division of Universal Music that they have been signed to is a division that was put together for influencers. It seems like they're pivoting a little bit here. But Zach, I'm going to pass this off to you. What do you think of this fun group of apes?
I think it's going to be really fun to watch how badly Hollywood misinterprets what NFTs are about. And I think this is a great little story about that because, all these PFP, profile pic, which is kind of a funny abbreviation, I know. All these PFP NFT projects, they're about sort of like everyone having a shared thing to be a part of. They're not necessarily about these like weird, I don't know, spin-off storylines. This kind of feels like a sitcom. The sitcoms where it's like you have the hit sitcom and then they like spin off one of the characters from the hit sitcom and it's like inevitably a dud. I'm thinking of Friends. Sorry for Joey from Friends. Sorry on this one. But this to me sort of feels like a spin-off that's about to be a dud. And I think we're going to see more of these things happen as Hollywood and all these talent agencies start getting this intellectual property that is sort of like necessarily insidery and then expanding it out to a broader universe of people. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what sticks here, but we're going to see a lot of this to come, I think. Will, over to you.
No, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. When I think of PFPs and I think of NFT projects like Bored Ape, it just seems like a path to be a part of a community. Everyone who's involved in this has basically got in early or was a crypto whale before. And that's what this is. It's like some sort of like sign of being in like a part of the club. Doesn't seem like anything really past that, and certainly doesn't seem like there's branding opportunities beyond that. Maybe they're trying to like tap into that user base of people who are involved in Bored Apes and involved in like the NFT scene in general. But I just don't think those people really care about that. It's not what it's about. It's about being in like exclusive Telegram or Discord groups and talking about NFT trading. It doesn't really seem to be about anything else. Jen, I'll throw it back to you though.
Yeah, you kind of hit it on the head. So anyone who holds a Bored Ape NFT will get access to exclusive NFTs and music should this group create music in the future. And so it feels like Hollywood is trying to bridge that gap. But I think you're absolutely right. I think the people who are involved in this maybe don't want that. And so there's a little bit of a disconnect. But Naomi, what were your thoughts when you read the story?
Yeah, I was confused because they set it up like being like gorillas, which I understand. It's a creation and it's a band. And then they're like, it's like gorillas, also has nothing to do with music. I'm like, so what do they do, right? So it does say that perhaps music will come into play, and it seems like that's an obvious next step if they just created a band, or maybe it's going to be a bad sitcom, like Zach said, or there's going to be something. But if it's music, it's not so certain that this is going to be a failure. I mean, one of Japan's biggest pop stars is a hologram, right? So Hatsune Miku, for like the last 14 years, it's a 16-year-old girl. And when I say girl, I mean like anime character is a hologram. She sells out giant concerts. She's open for Lady Gaga. She's done, collaborations with Pharrell Williams. This is like, it's really cool. Like, I don't know. I want to go to a hologram concert. I want to go to this thing and see this anime character like dancing around on stage. So if this is where we're headed with NFTs, and they now own this intellectual property, and it's like there's some sort of interactive experience with the NFT, I mean, that's kind of interesting and fun. Of course, this currently has nothing to do with music, so maybe this doesn't go in that direction at all. But there's a lot of potential there, and I just hope they don't screw it up, because it seems like it's an exciting world that we can explore here. But Jen, I'll throw it back to you.
I think Zach had something to say.
I mean, I just wanted to know, like, was Bored Apes like a 10,000 NFT run? Does anyone know how many people are in Bored Apes? Because it's either whatever the number is, it's a very small number relative to like mass audiences in big media. So I don't know, like, how do you expand the pie there for something that, as Will said, is like necessarily like an exclusive thing? So I don't know. Interesting stuff. But I think we're
10,000.
10,000, yeah.
10,000 apes.
Typically, 10,000 is a typical run in NFT PFP land. All right, let's shut it down. You guys ready to shut this down with me? You guys ready to wrap
this
down?
Taylor
Swift. The weekend. Start the weekend.
You guys ready? Is this Taylor Swift?
We're ready.
Can we get Taylor
Swift? This is not Taylor Swift. Every show, Naomi is still
Control.
This is not her remix. Control. God. So we all know what I'm going to be doing the rest of the day. It's just listening to all of those songs from the vault. Oh my gosh. All right. Sorry. It's a very emotional time for me. I've been waiting a very long time for this to be released. Like years for the 10-minute version of All Too Well to be released. Anyway, very excited, guys.
We got to close.
This is awesome. All right. We're going to wrap it up. We're going to go listen to some music. It's going to be great. And then we're going to have a weekend. That's going to be great too. And we'll see you on Monday. All right, it's The Hash. I'm Zach. That's Will, Jen, Naomi. We're here. We think you're great.
Bye,
and we'll talk
guys.
to you soon. Thanks so much. Bye.